Hello again guys, this is White Davy. This video I'm bringing you today is about physical geography. Now if you study geography in school or in college, this will be pretty obvious to you what I'm about to show you or what I'm about to tell you. But for those people out there that aren't aware of this process or what's involved in it, then it's a little bit interesting. So what we have here is a rock in front of you, which is suffering, I guess you could say, from freeze-thaw action. Now, freeze-thaw action, T-H-A-W. My accent might be a bit hard for you to understand, but it's freeze-thaw action. So basically, there's two actions happening with regard to the rock. There's freeze and then there's thaw. So the freeze happens at night and the thaw happens at day. If you'll just remember that. It's pretty basic stuff. So what we have here is a number of lines cut into this rock. Now the lines aren't always straight, but in this case there's several of them and they all happen to be straight. Now I guarantee you I didn't mess with this rock. I've only bumped into this rock and I said I'd point out this feature on it. So if I could move in a bit close to show you. What we have here is, sorry about this, what we have here are these lines. I'll just point them out to you. Another one starting here. I suppose this one here and this one would be two main ones. Of course there's other ones here and here. That's pretty odd the way it's cut a square, what's practically a square, into the rock. So what happens is water, because it rains a lot, or even if it doesn't rain a lot, gets into these cracks. So even if it's a little dent or a little indentation, water will seep into this crack. Then what happens overnight, that water will freeze. While it freezes, it will expand. Now while it expands, it'll make a widening gap in the rock. And during the daytime, it will thaw and the water will seep out and it will leave the cut, I guess you could say. Now that doesn't happen just overnight. That happens over consecutive nights. So for cuts like that, well, I'm no expert, but for cuts like that it could take 6 months, even a year. So it's not something that happens directly overnight. You won't notice it. You won't notice it overnight as it happens. You'd want to be observing this feature for a number of weeks, week on week, if you know what I mean. But basically what it's demonstrating is the powers of water when it freezes. Because when water freezes, it expands. So what we have, basically, the best way I can think of it is, most liquids expand anyway when they're frozen. Now, I'm not saying every liquid, but most liquids. So I guess you could say we experiment, but I wouldn't go trying this. What a lot of scientists recommend is, or they do, they would place milk, more often than not milk, into a sort of jar, or a bottle, a glass bottle, or a glass jar, and then leave it in a refrigerator overnight. And of course in the morning, because the milk has expanded, the glass will crack. So that just shows you the expansion. But this process takes place through repeated expansion and then contraction during the day. And what happens is that wears away the rock in certain places. Now the reason it's worn away the rock there in those lines is because water has seeped in. So for instance, you can actually see it pretty well. What am I here? There's a little hollow here. Now what more than likely happened is water got in there, just into that hollow, froze, then expanded. Next day again, it rained. Then water was left there in that, I guess you could say, a little bit of a indentation, and then it froze. The next day it thawed, so it's going to have effects on the rock. So just this little hollow here that I was pointing out, this little hollow here, just there. So water lies here, freezes, expands during the night when it's cold, contracts during the day, and then peels off a little bit. Actually, the hazelnut here, just to show you that. This is off point, but anyway, I've basically showed you all that I'm going to show you today. It's wee hazelnut. Actually see the sort of velvety bottom on it. Okay guys, I'll leave you go. This has been another successful broadcast from White Davy.